right, let's see. Move that there. Switch to neutral. Set a dashboard. Let's see here. Oh, that looks good. All right, cool. Let's see how this works. Hey, how's it going? So it's been a bit. I've been working, but I'm also going to be working on some YouTube videos. I have been actually making shorts and long form content. This is going to be one of the things where I am just going to be working on, let's see here. Oh yeah, that gets it. I'm going to be working on the research for my potato video. I'm doing a video on potatoes, history, nutritional impact, impact on society, so on and so forth. So, yeah, this is just going to be a work with me. I'm just going to be kind of vibing. That's it. So let's go with this. Switch over. Okay. So, click up. So, this paper is from Springer. Let's see. The Impact of Potato on Society by H. De Jong. It's 2016. This is generally a history paper. So, in biotech, we're a little bit more, we more vibe with things that are earlier, but this is a history paper. So it's not like the past has suddenly changed in some point. Been going through, talking with the potatoes. We're going through this, let's see here, there's religion, war, trickery, population and Europeans growth, the potato and Europeans population growth. Yeah, spoiler, when it was introduced to Europe, they like bloody well near doubled their, entire population. Europeans' population grew from 140 million to 266 million in 100 years, and it had been having severe problems. They go into, the who, what, where, when, why. Of course. Let's just get it out of our systems. Yes, Ireland. I was on the Ireland section. So let's see here. Gaining a foothold in North America and back to Europe. Okay, in 1685, William Penn, describing Pennsylvania for the potential of immigrants, included potatoes in a long list of crops that did well there. 1719, a group of Scottish Presbyterian immigrants from Northern Ireland settled in Londonderry, New Hampshire, and among the goods they brought with them was the potato. This event is often credited with the introduction of the potato to North America, but appears from above that they may not have been the first. Washington planted potatoes in 1767, and Jefferson used it as a vegetable in Monticello in 1772. He listed it in 1794. So far, I'm not seeing something that's before 1719, but I'll give it a shot. We'll give this. In 1755, the British expelled the Acadians from what is now the Canadian Maritime Provinces. Several Acadian refugees returned to France, where they introduced the potato to their new settlements there, well before Parliamentier popularized it in that country. Oh, yeah. Parmentier, or Parmentier, I believe that is Parmentier. Yeah, he was in, let's see here. Let's go with, yeah, Antoine Augustin Parmentier was a prisoner of war in Prussia during the 7 Years' War. That was from 1763. They also note the 7 Years' War isn't called the 7 Years' War in Europe, at least at the time. It was called the Potato War. Over here, it's referred to as the 7 Years' War, so that's something. But he survived because of potatoes and basically became their best fan and kept trying to get the French to eat it. Which, I mean, considering French cuisine now, he succeeded. Albert Carman, the editor of the Rural New Yorker, promoted the growing of potatoes by holding contests. In 1837, Henry Spaulding was the first to grow potatoes in Idaho. Is that where we get the shoe? Hold up. I gotta check that. Spaulding. Yes. They're the dudes that made the shoes. Huh. They also made like a whole bunch of basketballs and stuff. That's wild. Don't. After a poor first crop, things improved following year. Eventually, Idaho became the potato state. Soon after, there are several factors that contributed to the success in Idaho. Mormon pioneers settled in Salt Lake City in Utah, and their search for more land brought them to Idaho. Discovery of gold in Idaho and the influx of gold diggers was a boon to the local potato producers. Yeah, more mouths. Also, potatoes were found to be a cheaper food source, nutrient source. Therefore, typically fed the, shall we say, less fortunate. Yeah, fun fact. So earlier in the paper I was reading, basically when it comes to food, we're pretty much, if you look at the planet, we are a rice, a grains, and a potato species. Those are the things that is the basis of like literally most of our diet. So yeah, it's like if the aliens wanted a symbol for Earth, it would be probably none of the religious symbols. It would be the Coke bottle. We wouldn't be considered meat eaters. We would be considered rice, grain, and potato eaters, which is wild. As early as 1875, the Mormons were shipping potatoes, labeled as Brigham's potatoes. That is wild. To California, thus establishing a very early reputation for high-quality potatoes and the suitability of Burbank and the russet cultivar growing in the environment. On the West Coast, potatoes have been grown for more than 2 centuries by the Macan Nation. Ooh, that is dark. In Northwest Washington, where they were probably introduced by Spanish explorers who brought them from Mexico. Yeah, I'm like 85% certain they probably beat the 1719. Potato Mania. There are 2 people that is for. They will know. In the decades following the famine, there was a flurry of activity in finding new cultivars in Europe and North America. So this was the potato famine that struck Europe and struck Ireland extremely hard. Finding new cultivars in Europe and North America which would be resistant to the late blight. New cultivars came to the market. There were unrealistic expectations that they would deliver great results. Yeah, I've heard that before. This turn drove prices of seed potatoes of new cultivars to the point in the USA by 1868 and 69, one cultivar, the king of earlies, $50 per tuber. Okay, hold up. All right. Okay. No. Okay. And the dollar has lost 96% of its value since 1869. Wow. So that would be over $1,000 for a single potato. That's $1,200 per seed tuber. Holy God. This is hard doing with the mouse. Perfect. Henry Ward Beecher described best potato medium used at protesters with a pick and pan may do very well in the Rocky Mountains, but the true way to dig for gold in New York State is to let your potatoes do it for you. Yeah. That's one of the things about the gold rush. It wasn't the gold miners that got the money. It was like, huh? Where did I get? Sorry, work pinged me. That's future me problem. I don't care. Yeah, it wasn't the miners who got rich. It was the people who sold the food and the liquor and the women to the miners. Similar situation developed in Great Britain, where during the potato boom of 1902 to 1903, some of Findley's new varieties, such as the El Dorado, were sold at, holy crap, sold at prices of $160 per pound, or even their weight in gold. However, not all potato breeders became wealthy. Reverend Chancey Goodrich, whom Beecher called the pioneer and patriarch of the new kingdom of potatoes, died a pauper. That's a freaking mood. He was completely devoted to finding a cure for the late blight disease and spared no effort or expense towards this end. One of his seedlings, Garnet Chili, features prominently in pedigrees of most North American and many European cultivars. For example, Early Rose was the offspring from Garnet Chili. It is the female parent of the Russin Burbank. War and potato processing. In the history of mankind, war has often driven technological developments which were subsequently used in peace times. This include potato processing, beginning with the development of the chunyo. So early potato had, okay, this. What they did, up here, they had glycoalkaloids. Potatoes still have glycoalkaloids, but we've bred most of it out. Glycoalkaloids give the plant a couple different advantages. One, glycoalkaloids typically make the plant more resistant to cold stress, and also it is toxic to predators and diseases, things like nematodes, certain molds, fungi, bacteria, so on so forth. So great for them going about their business. bad for us eating them. So what they would do, there's a couple different strategies. You could eat it with a certain clay that binds to the glycoalkaloids, and you just pass it, shall we say. Or they did the production of junyo, which I am mispronouncing. Can't do the inya sound. What they did with that, which is really cool, they freeze dried it. Literally, this is this is 5,000 to 2,000 BC. So what they did was they took the potatoes, stuck them outside on a special rack, which would get them super cold and they would freeze. And then they would let it warm up in the morning, because this is in the mountains, and then they would squish it, which would squish the water out, and they would dry it, and they would freeze, and they would dry, and then they would freeze, and they would dry until they got to freeze dry. This broke down the glycoalkaloids. It also preserved the potato, and they used it as money. You could literally be paid in food, because it could last for years. So that's the chunyo. More recently, dried potatoes were used as ships provisions and military rations during the Franco-German wars. And the Crimean and the Civil War. Both world wars resulted in the widespread development of potato dehydration. Who pinged me? Oh, Sion. Hey, what's up, bud? During World War II, scientists at Oregon State University developed Victory potatoes, a product made from shredded, dehydrated, compressed potatoes. That sounds lovely. During World War I, American soldiers stationed in Europe discovered a new potato treat being sold in street corners of Belgium. They called this new product French fries because the Belgians who were preparing it spoke French. Okay. That's a note. Since then, French fries has become the largest worldwide outlet for potatoes. Yeah. Global shift in potato production. The past 50 years has seen major changes in potato production on the global scale. The world potato production rose from an average of 264 million tons to 369 million tons in 2013. Much of this occurred in China, India, and other Asian countries. Yeah, there's been a shift into, everybody thinks about America with the Idaho and the Irish, but like the largest producers currently right now are China and India. China's annual production rose from an average of 13 million to 88 million. In the same period, production in India rose from 3 to 43 million. See what I mean? The combined production of Germany and Poland dropped to about 5%. China and India rose to 35%. So yeah, like I said, it's shifted over to Asia. Several factors mirroring this massive global shift. So rising incomes and other factors have impacted the per capita potato consumption. Yeah, so the fundamental driving force behind the growth of potato production in East has been a shift from the consumption patterns away from cereal-based diets and less preferred vegetables towards food commodities such as dairy products, fruit, vegetables, and including potato. So basically, since these are foreign and exotic, they viewed them as fancier, so they ate them. Central Planning Committee in China has developed this result change from policies on land possession and incentives of production. In case of India, there's been a synergy between the government and private sector investment, such as large cold storage facilities. potato in changing lifestyles and consumption patterns. During the course of its history, society has been impacted the way that potatoes have been consumed. The preparation and use of chunyo by the Indian societies was described above. Yeah, that's where they freeze-dried it to deal with glycoalkaloids and then used it as currency that you could eat. For most of the rest of the world, the potato has primarily been consumed fresh as a staple food, which has been prepared domestically. This pattern is gradually changing, especially in developed countries where increasingly potatoes are processed to meet the rising demand of fast food, snacks, and convenience stores. Yeah, so potato gets this really bad rap for being junk food, but it's literally because of fast food. Potato is actually pretty good for you if you don't deep fat fry it. Let's see here. Major drivers behind this development include growing urban populations, rising income, the diversification of diets and lifestyles, as well as an increased number of women in the labor force that leaves less time preparing fast food for consumption. Yeah, there's another paper that I have detailing out the fact that the households becoming 2-income households has led it to where we can't make fresh food, so we just have to buy it, which has led to a lot of problems, especially in North America, but in also Western Europe. This change has resulted in the role of the traditional family meal, the cornerstone of family life. Okay. The decline of family dinner has potentially led to less nutritious diet amongst older children and adolescents. No. The fact that we're having to... No. Sorry, bud. We're going to go with this. For example, in Canada, the rise and fall of several major cultivars can, to a large extent, be attributed to market demand. It's always capitalism. Cultivars which are suitable for processing into French fries and chips are replacing those that are not. In Asia, the strong trend towards urbanization has resulted in a westernization of diet and the rising popularity of temperate zone food products, convenient foods, and beverages. Convenience food is being, again, driven by the simple fact we don't have time. In China, potato processing is traditionally focused on starch and noodle production, which is greater than 20% of the potato crop is used for the production of starch and other products. However, as a result of urbanization and let's see here, the result of urbanization and rising incomes, there's an increasing demand for processed products common in Western societies, such as French fries, frozen products, chips, and dehydrated potatoes. In India, the potato's role in diet most commonly is that of a complementary vegetable. An exception is that as a major potato growing region, the peak harvest potatoes have become a seasonal staple for the poor and migrant laborers. So, as before, now again. Current demand for processing potatoes in India is about 8% of the national crop. Elsewhere, this demand is driven by urban areas with really higher incomes than rural areas. So the impact of potato on global food security. Throughout history and time and again, potato has provided bread for the poor. It continues this role today on a global scale. After the collapse of the former Soviet Union in the 1990s, the potato was a key factor in subsistence growth of post-socialist countries by growing them in home gardens and still embedded in the historical memory of the people. In 2011, 6 of the top 10 per capita potato-consuming countries were former Soviet republics. I somehow believe that sometime soon my country's going to be experiencing this, personally. Its nutritional quality, adaptability to different climates, and cultivation methods make potato uniquely suitable for this purpose. Today, the potato is grown in environments that differ vastly with regard to latitude, altitude, day length, temperature from the Andean highlands when it was first domesticated. Potato contributes in 2 different ways to the livelihoods of the poor. In some areas, it is a staple grown and eaten by the poor, where it contributes directly to hunger reduction. Elsewhere, the potato is a high-value crop which contributes principally to poverty reduction, increasing income and employment. Great efforts are currently being made to using potatoes as a source of food security in China. I did not know there was food insecurity in China. As well as on a global scale, the International Potato Center. In Bangladesh, during the periods of 93 to 2013, the area planted into potatoes nearly quadrupled, and the per capita consumption increased 5-fold. In the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea, after the 90s famine, a potato revolution has taken place. During the period of 93 to 2013, the area of potato cultivation, how do we know that? Is it from cameras? So it's quadrupled. The gradual increase in potato production combined with modern technology in developing countries can not only improve food security and nutrition, but also enhance rural incomes and reduce poverty. The genomics era is accelerating our understanding of the key genes and mechanisms underlying potato development, physiology, water, nutrient use, efficiency, and resistance to biotic and abiotic stresses. Genomics technology provides. This is where the historian tries to be a geneticist. Genomics technologies provide the potential for rapid marker-assisted breeding strategies. Rapid is relative, but yes. And afford opportunity for biotech approaches, particularly in case of major genetic gene resistances to pests and diseases. Continued review of GM policies and regulations associated with social and political opinions are needed to guide and determine the safest and most productive routes for potato improvement. Now, that is a polite way of saying that. I will leave that, my commentary, alone. Okay, so I was wondering when the potato beetle would show up. Colorado potato beetle has had a major impact in many countries. It was first discovered in 1811 in the Rocky Mountains, where it was feeding on buffalo bear. Its appetite for potatoes was not known until 1859, when it started devouring potatoes in the state of Nebraska, planted there by early settlers. Let's see what buffalo bear is. What is buffalo bear? Buffalo bear. Oh, it's an edible weed. Invasive. Buffalo bear, named for its prickly berries that were commonly entangled in the fur of American bison. It is an aggressive weed. It's a solanum. Of course it is. Plant of the nightshade family. High plains east of the Rocky Mountains in North Dakota to Mexico. God, so many things are in the nightshade family. Started devouring potatoes in the state of Nebraska. Started marching eastwards, going along railways. On average, it moved 130 kilometers per year. By 1874, it reached the east coast of the USA. Yeah, this is why we have EPA and Department of Ag regulations on transport. Or we did. Crap. In 1870, it crossed the Detroit River into Canada, and by 1883, it reached Prince Edward Island. Jesus. Several insecticides were evaluated. Paris green? Yeah, combining copper and arsenic is effective. Don't do Paris green. Carl, that kills people. This was, in essence, the first large-scale use of an insecticide on an agricultural crop. Would you... I guess depending on your definition of large scale, because we have in antiquity records of using certain burning materials in vineyards where we would burn, God, what was it? I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, they would smoke the pests out. In the 1870s, the adult beetle had such a high profile in American society. For a few years, black and yellow striped evening gowns were fashionable. That's morbid. In World War I, the beetle became established around American military bases near Bordeaux. By World War II, it had spread across all of Europe. During World War II, both Allies and Germans considered dropping chloride potato beetles on each other's potato fields. Again, dark. That's a war crime. German government claimed American planes were dropping Yankee beetles over German potato fields and set up a potato beetle defense service. After the war, East German government under Soviet occupation also blamed the Americans for dropping potato beetles. The propaganda was reinforced by publication of a large number of tracts. Although the research was conducted by several governments on how to use the beetle in entomological warfare, there is no evidence that it was ever used to attack food supplies of enemy nations. In less than a century, the beetle established itself around the globe, but did so without the aid of warring armies. Yeah, this has always been a thing. We've had several bioweapons that were like that, and everyone basically comes to the conclusion, if you throw that little genie outside the bottle, you can't shove it back into the bottle. And basically, like, for instance, we have a certain fungus, a rust, that will kill 95% of the rye in the world. And we were thinking about in the 90s and earlier to deploy it to knock out Russia's food supply. And the guy who recommended that was very quickly told to basically shove it, because we also eat rye. And his defense was, well, it's not going to get into our rye fields. Yes, it would. There are many examples of the depiction of potato in the art and literature. This is especially in the case in Ireland, stereotypical, where the potatoes held such a place in the diet. Place names, folklore, and literature. The anthology of the potato includes many poems praising it. I'm not singing. The potato's depiction on postage stamps demonstrates the esteem at which it's held worldwide. The earliest recorded paintings of potatoes thus far dates back to 1650. There are many paintings where the potato is the focus. In others, it's part of the background where the respective artists describe rural life. Yada yada yada. Van Gogh, his paintings include virtually all aspects of potato planting, digging, storing, marketing. In addition to the adaptation for growing for different environments and nutritional value, another major reason for its rise in status toward the third major food crop is that potatoes are delicious and extremely versatile in their use in many different contexts around the world. Potatoes' great palatability has facilitated it becoming embedded in so many cultures. It's suggested that, at least in the Netherlands, the potato may have had an impact on eating culture. In those countries, the introduction of the fork as an eating utensil appears to be stimulated by the eating of potatoes. Boiled potatoes are easier to eat with a fork than a spoon. Okay. So this one covers, first and foremost, save. So that covered the history pretty well. Covered its domestication by the Andean people, the foundation as part of the multiple empires of the area, the weaponization of it by the Spanish as they invaded and using it as a bioweapon against the Brits as a food supply, and also causing multiple economic events that caused basically the reformation of all of Europe. So yeah, cool. Which one is this? Let's see. Okay, so I've already gotten this one. This one is, let's see here. Comparison of low glycemic index and high glycemic index potatoes in relative relations to satiety. This basically, there's different types of potatoes, and they fed them to people, and the glycemic index is a record of basically how sugary things are, roughly speaking. High sugary ones and low glycemic index ones make you just as full. See here. COVID? Okay, yeah. Comparison of potato satiety, white breads and rices. Okay, yeah. So this one is basically they were comparing, say, they were using potatoes and bread and comparing the satiety between them, and potatoes, bread, and rice. Culturally speaking, this area, if you cannot get by the names, this is an area where they have, you know, a large propriety towards eating rice. If the names aren't a clue, the Department of Community Nutrition in the University of Indonesia. So, like, that should be like a clue by the fact that they eat rice. Spoiler, yeah, potatoes, more satiety. Effects of dietary. I haven't hit this one yet. Okay. Let's see here. Potatoes as a prominent staple. The effects of dietary intake on potatoes on body weight gain, satiety results. Just one moment. Okay, that sucks. I'll deal with that later. Potatoes as a prominent staple food have exerted diverse intestinal health benefits, but few studies have addressed the gut microecology modular effects of consuming potatoes in realistic quantities. Oh, see, a lot of these, the health studies involve the satiety portion, the fiber, the nutrients, and the fact that like it fills you up. But I haven't really seen much on the microbiology of your gut. Evaluate the effects of ingesting potatoes in different doses of body weight gain. food intake, short-chain fatty acids, fecal microbiota, gut hormones, and colon morphology of healthy rats. So they're using a Sprague Dolly rats, which are a human rat chimera, and they're feeding them potato powder. Yes, I know. I'll deal with you in a moment there, Chief. Concentrated low, medium, high. The final body weight. Jesus Christ. I'm about to turn off my phone. Like, physically turn it off. Let's see here. Accordingly, the final body weight was significantly lower for rats fed high and or higher potato diets than their control counterparts. But why? Potato intervention caused a significant dose-dependent increment in full. Okay. That they're talking about poop there. Relative abundance of that bacteria increased in higher potato diets. Furthermore, that analysis revealed that was negatively correlated with body weight gain, triglycerides, and low density lipoproteins, the maximum number of goblet cells, longest. Okay. The results suggest that potato powder could provide the potential for hopeful impact on weight control. That's a lot there, Chief. Maybe just eat the potatoes. I'm just saying. As a worldwide prevalent staple crop, potatoes tubers are not solely an energy supply, but high in dietary fiber. Yeah. Resistant starch and non-starch polysaccharides. They have a wide array of health-promoting phytochemicals, polyphenols, which could control the weight control proliferation of. Okay, phytochemicals are plant-based chemicals. Hold on a second. That one, chlorogenic acid. That sounds very familiar to me. What is that based? No, I don't want that. It's an ester of caffeinic acid and quinic acid. Intermittent lignin biosynthesis. They don't contain any chlorine. They come from the Greek name of light green. There's preliminary research on its biological impacts. I am literally putting my phone away from there. Okay, chlorogenic acid has not been approved for prescription. No shit. Yeah, there isn't enough help. Yeah, and high dose. Yeah, anything that would impact. Okay, so cool. Why am I not surprised that? What university are you from? Royal Society of Chemistry. I'm gonna go with. Where are you? Orchid. Okay. Open link in new tab. See what your orchid says. Reject. Okay. Yeah, that's very much so Chinese medicinal plant properties. I will put a let's go with this. Possible impact. Not enough to date. Yay. Nay. Dunk. Initial content claim of high dietary fiber. That's not really a claim, dude. That's like the nutritional content claim of high dietary fiber might be attributed to the high resistant starch type 2 levels in raw potatoes, which are resistant to in the small intestine, but can be fermented in the lower intestine bacteria. Okay, so yeah, they've gone nutso. In China, potato freeze-dried powder, which contains amounts of various other phytonutrients, is raw material for producing potato staple foods. Yeah, these are based, they make them into noodles. Potatoes have been maligned as a contributor to increasing risk of metabolic syndrome, obesity, and cardiovascular diseases. Yeah. High value protein. Yeah, they have high value protein, rich in vitamin C and minerals like potassium and phosphorus, but with no cholesterol. Yeah, the only reason why they're considered generally fattening is you deep fat fry them. The majority of studies have recognized that intake of French fries may be associated with weight gain. Yeah, potatoes filled with high-calorie lipid additions rather than potato itself may be the culprit. You think? Yeah, if you slather your potatoes with cheese, do they make you fat? Further investigations observed that fiber from potatoes was not significantly associated with subsequent changes in weight or weight. WC, WC. What is WC? Weight gain, body weight gain. As a consequence, no convincing evidence was obtained from observational studies for supporting the association between potatoes consumption and obesity. Yeah, it's how you cook it there, Chief. Also, observational studies are hard. Prebiotic dietary fiber and prebiotic-like polyphenols in potato tubers have been proven to facilitate gastrointestinal health via the restoring of intestinal epithelial barrier function by shaping gut microbiome, releasing extensive bacterial-derived metabolites, short-chain fatty acids. Basically, it's saying that if you get a lot of dietary fiber and some of the compounds that promote good gut health for microbiome, your intestinal layer lining heals and you get less, shall we say, problems in the bathroom. In the colon, dietary polyphenols are hydrolyzed to different bioavailable phenolic metabolites. Okay, so basically they're saying the fiber and the various compounds get eaten by our gut microbia and they produce compounds that we can use. That's not really, like, that's important for me, no, but you guys wouldn't care. On the other hand, the binding of polyphenols to their pathological bacteria cell membranes disturbs the function of the membrane, thus inhibits bacterial growth. Okay, so that one's new. I did not know that they had antimicrobial properties. Collectively, phenol compounds exert prebiotic effects due to their antioxidative and anti-inflammatory capabilities. Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to. Let me get, and we'll do this. There. Previous investigations have summarized that raw potato starch, potato fiber, potato anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are compounds that basically look kind of red. Typically, plant cells make them as a defense process against stress. They can impact us because of it. Let's see here. Previous individually together enriched lactobacillus. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. Notoriously, chronic intake of excess energy and expenditure of too few calories results in positive energy balance and weight gain. Basically, eating too much food makes you fat. In terms of weight management of overweight or obese practitioners, the modification of lifestyles, including weight loss diets and increasing physical activities, was prior to pharmacological therapy and bariatric surgery. Basically, getting yourself into a caloric deficit and then getting medications and tummy, what is the thing where they staple your stomach? More recently, emerging data has established a novel gut microbiome targeting strategy for maintaining healthy weight, even curing obesity by dietary treatments, including prebiotics and probiotics. Diverse intestinal microbial derived metabolites such as SCFAs, GABA, serotonin, and other neurotransmitters have demonstrated regulatory effects on host metabolism and appetite via stimulating endocrine cells, interendocrine cells to excrete satiating related gut hormones. Okay, so this is where they're talking about where certain fibers and certain materials, when you get them into your digestive tract, they cause your body to release certain chemicals to tell your brain that you're full, so you eat less. Yeah, GLP-1, PYY, and CKK, or CCK. Yeah, that makes sense. Multiple studies have reported the anti-obesity or lipid metabolism modulatory effects of entire potatoes or potato protein, potato-resistant starch, or potato fibers, but few have investigated the effects of consuming potatoes realistically based on the recommended nutrient intake of daily diet. So they used the rats to be fed the potato powder for 7 weeks, and then they would look at the poop bacteria and use MySeq sequencing for assessing the influences of dietary potato intervention. Basically, they're going to take and mass blast the DNA in the poop to see how their microbiome changed. Okay, so material methods. I can kind of blow through this. They obtained potatoes. They were cleaned. You were literally telling me how you prepared the potatoes there, Chief. Okay, so they cleaned the potatoes. They freeze-dried the potatoes. And then they milled the potatoes. And then they filtered the potatoes and turned it into powder. Then they analyzed the nutritional properties of the potato powder. Okay. Full comment. The total content of phenolic compounds was evaluated using, okay. Okay. Also, my favorite variation of caffeine, caffeic acid, that is a signal to tell you to poop. You make it. Ethics and statement of animals. Okay, so there's 60 male. Oh, they got 60. 6 to 8 weeks old. They were acclimatized to controlled diet and environment for 1 week. Yeah. These animals were housed in individual cages. Okay. Had fresh water and diets made by. All cages were placed in a room maintained at constant temperature and humidity with a 12-12. I'm assuming you also gave them enrichment. They were in 5 different groups, 12 rats per group, 4 per cage. Wait, are these male rats? Wait. Okay. Wild. I'm used to female rats. Okay. I thought you had to keep the dudes separate. My bad. They gave control group, low concentration, medium concentration, high concentration, super high concentration. Bulk. The amount fine and medium concentration, the average weight of a human adult in China is approximately 60 kilograms. Basically multiply that by 2.2. The PM dose for rats were calculated with the following formula. Okay. So they normalized it as if they were an average Chinese person, and then got the mg per kg dose. Okay, that's how many milligrams per kilogram of mass that the animal has. So it was 32 grams per kilogram per animal. So that, which accounts to 13.72% of their total food intake. So that is to say, if the rat was a kilogram, they would be getting 13.72 grams of potatoes. They did not get 13.72 grams because none of them were a kilogram. Repair 50%. Okay, so that was the median. So the low was 50% of that. The high was twice that. And the super high was 4 times that. Okay. Yeah, which hash crude protein. They give the. This is like what the base food was. That's mouse meal. That's so good. I'm tired. I can tell. The experiment lasted 49 days. Food intake and body weight of each rat were measured and recorded every 3 days. After 7 weeks, they were weighed after overnight fasting. That is to make them poop, so you know what the poop weight is. They did it with CO2 anesthesia. I hate that protocol. I hate doing it that way. I guess it is. It is a way to do it. I don't want to go into details, but they were euthanized via a CO2 gas chamber. I prefer the one that Vandy taught me, where you shut off the upper portion of their brain and leave the brainstem working, and their consciousness goes into a sleep state, then shuts down, and literally the nerves do not fire to the point where they can feel pain. So like I prefer that. I'm not going to go into the way that they sacked them. They just took blood samples, took body samples, and made sure that they can analyze everything. The blood, the body mass, the fat, etc. They did histological determination results. Yeah, let's skip the stuff that you guys probably don't want to know about. They did poop analysis. They were analyzing the microbia of the poop. Table 2 represents the contents of the macronutrients, micronutrients, and bioactive compounds tested in the potato powder. Okay. So this is the nutrients in the potatoes. This is the body weight gain, the food intake, the tissue weights, and like all of the mouth stuff. This is interesting to me. You guys probably wouldn't care. What is a HDL, TG? So the control. Let me see here. This is control. Actually, hold on a second. This is control. This is low. This is average. This is high. This is super high. Oh. Oh. That's nice. Okay, so the LDLs, the HDLs, and the triglycerides, the control, they're a little rough. The low, they were, oh. The HDLs went up a little bit, and then the average and the high and the super high, they went pretty, okay. Effects of potato intake on body weight, body composition, and food intake. Generally, a significant decrement to the final body weight or body weight gain was observed in the rats that ate the potato diet versus the ones that did the control. I will tell you this, the control diet is very oily. Every time I would feed them, it would get on my fingers, get on my fingies. By my fingers, I mean my gloves. Where there was no after 7 weeks of treatment, whereas there was no significant difference between the two potato groups. Okay, so the potatoes, so control versus potatoes, there was difference, but potato versus potato, there was not. Whereas there's just, compared with two other potato rich groups, the control group showed no difference. So pH and pH. So yeah, that's going with the so the light potato where they were just getting like half of it, the final weight was pretty much the same as control. Drastically between the high and the super high. The super high weight, they lost. They actually lost weight. In comparison, those are low for that size. I mean, they gained weight, but they didn't gain it enough. The super high ones, they would be built like long distance runners, if that puts it into perspective. While the control were like kind of pudgy. See here, likewise, daily food intakes for the 7-week period of the experiment was consistently lower than their control counterparts. So they ate less of their food. in mass. The average liver weight was similar amongst all dietary groups. That's okay. There's a strong negative correlation was discovered between body weight gain and full cecum weight. All right, I keep using that term. I need to make sure. Yeah, so just so you guys know, that's the beginning of the large intestine. I've been kind of censoring myself. So there's a strong negative correlation between the discovery between the body weight gain and full cecum weight. So the larger the cecum, the smaller the weight gained. On the other hand, no relative relevance existed between the relative weight of the liver so see here, that's table 3. So all right, so this is gut hormones. So this there. Bonk. So these two guys basically tell you you're like when you get like higher doses of these two guys, that's basically your brain being told, I'm full, stop eating. This is how we could tell that these guys that were eating less weren't eating less because they didn't want it, because it was like gross and they didn't like it and they were still hungry. These guys, they were giving all the signals of I'm not hungry, and that's why they didn't eat. Let's see here. Let's see here, but the other lipid profile variation observed included significant reductions in triglycerides and LDLs in comparison to those control fed. LDL levels for the PM fed rats were significantly decreased. So the PM is the average. In comparison with the control groups, approximately a 1.7-fold significant elevation was found. And okay, so in comparison to the control group, there was a pretty decent increase in the elevation for PYY. Okay. Where's that table? Where's that table? Table S1. Where's S1? Where's your table? There. Not seeing the table. Poopy. Okay, so as described in the table that I can't find, the lipid profiles were all correlated positively with body weight gain. So basically, your lipid profiles, level of lipid profiles tracked with body weight gain. Levels of satiety-related gut hormones had a strong negative correlation. That makes sense. You're getting hormones that are telling you you're full, you don't eat as much. All right, cool. I will do this. I will save this because I have to actually go deal with this. So, yeah, sorry about that. Switch to this. So yeah, this one is just going to be a me thing. I'm going to be working on my, my potato video. think I've got a good portion. I finished a paper and got through into the effects section of another paper. So that's pretty good. I'm going to start, streaming a little bit more often. Working on while I'm working. Let's see how that goes. This will lead to, I will set this to like blah 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 a VOD, but this will lead to I'll combine all of this stuff into a potato video, which will come onto my YouTube channel. If you watch this, you're a nerd, but thank you. Good fight. Good night. I'll be seeing you guys soon.